If no one is coming to save you, your money has one job: to buy back control. Not to impress people, not to look successful, not to reward your exhaustion. Because when you are unsupported, money is not just money. Money is oxygen. Money is time. Money is the ability to say no when disrespect gets expensive. Money is the ability to survive a slow month without begging, borrowing, explaining yourself, or crawling back to people who already proved they were not coming. And here is the part most men learn too late. You do not rise because you earn more. You rise because your money receives orders before your emotions touch it. Fidelity's Q2 2024 retirement analysis tracked more than 48 million retirement accounts, including individual retirement accounts, 401k accounts, and 403b accounts. The lesson is simple. People do better when money is captured by a structure before mood gets a vote. Contributions, employer plans, repeated saving behavior, and automatic systems create a machine that moves money before emotion can negotiate with it. That is not just financial advice. That is human nature exposed. Most men do not fail because they have no intention. They fail because intention is weak when pressure is loud. Intention says, I should save. Emotion says, you worked hard, you deserve this. Intention says, I should build. Exhaustion says, just enjoy tonight. Intention says, I need control. Status says, show them you are not losing. And status is expensive. Thomas Stanley and William Danko revealed this from another angle in The Millionaire Next Door. Their work became famous because it attacked one of the most poisonous beliefs in modern life, the belief that wealth should be visible. Many high net worth households did not look rich. They accumulated quietly. They lived below their means. They avoided excessive status consumption. They saved, invested, and built balance sheets before they performed success in public. The table of contents itself carries the philosophy. Frugal, frugal, frugal. You aren't what you drive. That line should humiliate a certain kind of man, because many men are not trying to become free. They are trying to look like they have already escaped. They buy the signal before they own the substance. They want the clothes, the dinners, the phone, the car, the apartment, the lifestyle, the photo, the reaction. They want the world to believe they are winning before their life can survive one bad month. That is not power. That is theater. And theater collapses when the rent arrives. The question is not, how much do you make? That is the shallow question. That is the question people ask when they do not understand control. The real question is, where does your first dollar go? Does it go to ownership or consumption? Does it go to control or comfort? Does it go to freedom or appearance? Because two men can earn the same income and live in two completely different realities. One becomes harder to pressure every month. The other becomes more decorated, more tired, more anxious, and more owned. One turns income into options. The other turns income into proof that he worked hard. One builds oxygen, the other buys relief. One can say no, the other must keep smiling. This is why unsupported men cannot manage money casually. A supported man may have a cushion, family money, a place to fall back into, someone to cover a mistake, someone to make a call, someone to help with rent, someone to absorb one stupid season. But the unsupported man does not have that luxury. For him, one emergency can erase momentum. One job loss can destroy confidence. One bad client can force humiliation. One slow month can pull him back into dependence. One impulse season can steal the future he was building in silence. If you are unsupported, financial stupidity punishes you faster. You do not have room to be careless. You do not have room to spend like someone is coming. You do not have room to chase approval from people who would not pay your bills, protect your time, or carry your burden. So money management is not a budgeting issue. It is a power issue. The weak question is, can I afford this? The stronger question is, does this purchase increase control or dependency? Does it make you harder to break or easier to pressure? Does it buy freedom or only the feeling of having escaped for one evening? Does it build ownership, skill, proof, reserve, leverage, or time? Or does it feed the exhausted version of you that wants comfort now and consequences later? Most men never ask this. That is why their money keeps disappearing with perfect logic. Rent collects, debt collects, food collects, subscriptions collect, status collects, impulse collects, convenience collects. The old identity collects, and after everyone collects, your future receives whatever is left. Usually nothing. This is the trap. Most men think money management means paying bills, buying what they want, then saving whatever remains. That is not management. That is surrender with a spreadsheet. The stronger order is different. Capture control first, then survive. Then reward yourself within limits. The 1% do not merely earn more. They allocate toward control. They buy assets. They buy systems. They buy skilled labor. They buy expertise. They buy tools. They buy time. They buy distribution. They buy ownership. The average man buys relief. That is the difference. Not intelligence, not motivation, not even income at first. The difference is what money becomes after it enters your hands. For one man, money becomes a soldier. For another man, money becomes anesthesia. And anesthesia feels good right before it leaves you weaker. If you are the kind of man building without rescue, stop confusing movement with progress. You already know you need more money, but your real problem is that the money you already touch has no chain of command. If you keep letting impulse make the first move, you will keep earning, spending, recovering, and starting over like a prisoner decorating his cell. Inside Patreon, you get the unfiltered operating systems, deeper breakdowns, and private lessons designed to turn pressure into command, so you can stop admiring discipline and start building with it. This is not for men looking for comfort. It is for men who are done negotiating with the weak version of themselves. The decision is yours. Now understand this clearly. The system I am about to give you is not magic. It will not rescue a man who refuses responsibility. It will not make laziness profitable. It will not turn chaos into power if you keep protecting your excuses. But it will give your money a command structure. And when money has a command structure, your life begins to change. The first rule is simple. Automate first, spend later. Never let emotion touch the first move, because emotion is corrupt when money arrives. When you get paid, the weak self wakes up. It says, you deserve this. It says, you have been working hard. It says, just this once. It says, you need to enjoy life. It says, you should look like you are winning. It says, you can save later. That voice sounds reasonable because it uses your pain as evidence. But that voice has kept men dependent for decades. So the first move cannot belong to emotion. The first move belongs to law. Before desire speaks, allocation acts. Before exhaustion argues, the system moves. Before status enters the room, control has already been paid. That is the philosophy. Every dollar must receive command before it receives desire. Now we build the structure. 25% goes to power capital, 15% goes to war reserve, 50% goes to survival cost, 10% goes to controlled reward. These numbers are not sacred. They are a starting system. If your life is in crisis, adjust intelligently. If debt is choking you, redirect force. If your survival cost is too high, your first mission is reduction, but never betray the order. Power first, oxygen second, survival controlled, reward contained. The order matters because the order tells you who rules. If reward comes first, appetite rules. If survival consumes everything, pressure rules. If reserve is ignored, fear rules. If power capital is neglected, the future starves. But when power capital receives the first serious command, something inside you changes. You stop treating money as proof that you survived the week. You start treating money as a weapon that must fight for the next version of your life. Power capital is the money that fights for your future. Not comfort, not status, not the illusion of progress. Power. This category goes into anything that increases your earning ability, ownership, proof, speed, leverage, or access. A monetizable skill, a better tool, a business experiment, a lead source, a portfolio, a simple website, a case study, content production, software that saves time, equipment that improves paid output, a small asset purchase after you understand the risk. This is the part of your money that attacks dependence. If you have no skill, power capital builds skill. If you have no proof, power capital helps build proof. If you have no clients, power capital supports outreach, content, distribution, and lead generation. If you deliver slowly, power capital buys better tools or better systems. If you are invisible, power capital helps build reputation. The question for power capital is simple. Will this help me earn more, create trust, increase output, save time, or build ownership? If the answer is yes, it belongs in the conversation. If the answer is no, it may be consumption, wearing the mask of strategy. This is where many men lie to themselves. They call a new phone an investment when their old phone already works. They call a course an investment when they never finish courses. They call an expensive desk setup an investment while they still avoid selling, posting, building, pitching, or facing the market. That is not power capital. That is aesthetic procrastination. Power capital must produce force. It must make the next dollar easier to earn. It must make the next piece of proof easier to create. It must make the next opportunity easier to reach. It must strengthen the machine. If it only makes you feel like a serious man while you continue behaving like an undisciplined one, it is not an investment. It is decoration. The unsupported man cannot afford decoration before foundation. He cannot afford to look organized while his life is structurally weak. He cannot afford to buy the costume of power before buying the tools of power. So the first command is this. Every month, a serious portion of your money must be sent toward the part of your life that can multiply. Skill, proof, leverage, ownership, distribution, tools, systems. Because income without multiplication is fragile. You work, you get paid, you spend, you repeat. That is not growth, that is a wheel. Power. Capital is how you begin breaking the wheel. But power capital alone is not enough, because ambition without oxygen becomes desperation. That is why the second category is war reserve. Do not call this savings, call it ammunition. A reserve is not passive. It is a weapon against panic. A man with no reserve can be forced into bad decisions. He accepts disrespect because rent is due. He takes bad clients because he has no oxygen. He underprices because he is desperate. He stays in environments that weaken him because leaving costs money. He panics during slow months. He cannot think long-term because one bill can destroy the plan. That man is not free. He may be talented. He may be ambitious. He may be intelligent. He may even look confident. but his ambition is on a leash. The war reserve cuts the leash. First target, 1 month of survival cost. Second target, 3 months. Third target, 6 months. The higher the reserve, the harder you become to manipulate. A reserve gives you silence, and silence gives you strategy. When you have no reserve, every problem screams. Every bill becomes a threat. Every delay becomes humiliation. Every person with money becomes powerful over you. You begin negotiating from hunger, and hungry men rarely make clean decisions. But when you have a reserve, your nervous system changes. You stop reacting to every small fire like it is the end of your life. You stop explaining yourself to people who use money to control the room. You stop accepting every bad offer because you fear the empty space. You can think, you can wait, you can negotiate, you can walk away. That is not just financial safety, that is emotional armor. And for the unsupported man, emotional armor matters because no one is coming to absorb the impact for you. This is why the war reserve is sacred. Not because saving money is morally impressive, not because frugality makes you superior, but because reserve protects your ability to remain strategic under pressure. Pressure reveals ownership. If you have no reserve, pressure owns you. If you have reserve, pressure must negotiate. Now the third category is survival cost. This is the reality layer. Rent, food, transport, insurance, utilities, phone, internet, basic obligations. The things that keep you alive and operational. But here is the cold truth. If your survival cost is too high, your lifestyle becomes your prison guard. A high survival cost means you need more money just to remain in place. It means pressure arrives faster. It means fewer risks are possible. It means your buffer takes longer to build. It means your first business income disappears into basic life. It means one slow month becomes a crisis. Most men do not understand how expensive their lifestyle is until they try to escape it. They think the prison is the job. Sometimes the prison is the lifestyle the job is funding. If most of your income is required just to keep your current life alive, you are not building freedom. You are maintaining captivity. So keep survival cost low while you are building. Not forever. Not because comfort is evil. Because early freedom requires margin. Margin is power. A low survival cost gives you room to build skill, room to save, room to reinvest, room to survive rejection, room to test offers, room to recover from mistakes, room to be patient enough to win properly. High survival cost creates panic. Low survival cost creates maneuverability. This is warfare. You do not load yourself with unnecessary weight before entering battle. The man who needs too much to survive becomes easy to command. The man who can operate lean becomes dangerous. This does not mean live like a victim. It means stop making your life so expensive that every dream needs permission from your bills. Now, the fourth category is controlled reward. Pleasure is permitted, but it must be contained. This matters because some men hear discipline and turn into brittle machines. They deny everything. They suppress everything. They turn life into punishment. Then, eventually, they break, binge, overspend, disappear, and call it burnout. That is not command. That is repression. Controlled reward gives the weaker part of you a small amount of oxygen without letting it touch the treasury. A meal. A small purchase, a simple experience, something contained, something decided in advance. The reward is allowed, but it does not govern the system. This category tells the child inside you, you may eat, but you do not rule. That is power, not endless denial, not emotional spending, controlled permission. Because a man who cannot permit pleasure becomes resentful, but a man who cannot contain pleasure becomes weak. The issue is not enjoyment. The issue is rank. Does pleasure serve the system, or does the system serve pleasure? That is the difference between command and addiction. Now listen carefully. This money system is not really about money. It is about identity. The old identity says, I work hard, so I deserve to spend. The new identity says, I work hard, so my money must buy control. The old identity says, I need to enjoy life. The new identity says, enjoyment that destroys oxygen is not enjoyment. It is sabotage. The old identity says, I will save what remains. The new identity says, I capture power first. The old identity says, I want to look successful. The new identity says, I want to become difficult to control. That is the shift. Stop managing money like a consumer with ambition. Manage money like an unsupported man building power. Because your money reveals who rules you. If impulse rules you, money disappears. If status rules you, money performs. If fear rules you, money hides. If law rules you, money builds. This is why automation matters. When money arrives, it cannot sit there waiting for emotion to decide. Assign it immediately. 25% to power capital, 15% to war reserve, 50% to survival cost, 10% to controlled reward. If automation is possible, automate transfers. If automation is not possible, do it manually the same day. Do not wait. Waiting gives desire time to argue, and desire is persuasive. Then track every dollar for 30 days, not forever in a paranoid way, long enough to expose the leaks. Where is money escaping? Food delivery, subscriptions, random tools, status purchases, entertainment, convenience, debt. Generosity used to buy approval. You need the truth. Numbers do not flatter you. Numbers expose you. That is why weak people avoid them. But the unsupported man cannot afford financial fog. Fog creates panic. Precision creates control. At the end of 30 days, ask 5 questions. What increased my control? What increased my dependency? What strengthened my earning ability? What bought temporary relief? What must be cut, reduced, or redirected? This is how money becomes strategy. If you are the kind of man who has been building without applause, stop mistaking private suffering for private progress. You already know no one is coming, but your problem is that part of you still spends like someone should have noticed your pain by now. If you keep rewarding exhaustion before building control, you will stay emotionally tired and financially exposed. Inside Patreon, you get the deeper, unfiltered systems behind money, discipline, power, and self-command, so you can turn isolation into structure and structure into leverage. This is not for men who want motivational noise. It is for men who are ready to become harder to weaken. The decision is yours. Now return to the 1%. Do not misunderstand the title. Managing money like the 1% does not mean buying what they buy. It means adopting the order of power. Ownership before appearance, structure before impulse, assets before status, systems before emotion, control before comfort. The poor man with ambition often wants to look like he escaped. The disciplined man wants to escape first. The difference is everything. The millionaire next door does not need strangers to recognize wealth in the parking lot. He is building a balance sheet. The structured saver does not wait for motivation to save. The system captures money before desire touches it. The operator does not spend first and build later. He allocates first and consumes within limits. This is the game, not glamorous, not flashy, not immediately impressive, but it compounds. And compounding is quiet power. You are not broke because you enjoy life. You are broke because pleasure keeps outranking control. You are not trapped because money is evil. You are trapped because money enters your life without orders. You are not powerless because you earn too little only. You are powerless because what you earn is not being converted into ownership, reserve, skill, proof, and leverage. The old man asks, "What can I afford?" The new man asks, "What does this make me? Does it make me freer or more dependent? Does it make me stronger or more fragile? Does it buy control or buy a mood?" That is the question. And once you start asking it, many purchases become humiliating. Good. Humiliation can become clarity. Clarity can become command. Command can become freedom. So here is your assignment. For the next 30 days, run the control allocation. Power capital, war reserve, survival cost, controlled reward. If your situation demands adjustment, adjust the numbers. But do not abandon the law. Power first, oxygen second, survival controlled, reward contained. Then write your power capital target. What are you building? Skill, proof, tools, portfolio, content, business experiment, lead source. Choose one. Then write your war reserve target. 1 month first, then 3, then 6, then calculate your survival cost. If it is too high, your first financial mission is reduction. Then define your controlled reward. Small, contained, no lifestyle inflation, no status performance, no spending to impress people who did not help you build. This is how the unsupported man begins to manage money like power. Not casually, not emotionally, not like a consumer praying one day to be free. Like a commander allocating resources in a war for control. Because if no one is coming to save you, your money has one job: to buy back control. Not to impress people, not to look successful, not to reward your exhaustion. Control.